Phoenix Down Radio is on the air.
Welcome, everybody, to Phoenix Down Radio, episode number 148. I am your host, Klauss Nightbringer, and we're back after vacation. Woo! Joining me is Taliz and Seyrr. What is going on, guys?
Oh, I needed the time off.
It was nice. It was nice to have some time off, but I missed you guys.
Yeah, I did miss folks.
Definitely. What did you guys do in
Hang on, something is making noise in my house. 1 second.
And it's not you?
I know.
Uh-oh.
The Final Fantasy XIV prelude in a while.
Ah, there he is. All right. So what have you guys...
Library programs started happening in person. Oh my god, it's so weird. I look at people and I'm looking just at that person, and I need to look at everyone and like talk louder.
So in California, are you guys still required to wear masks?
So statewide, it is not required. On the county level, I don't believe it's required either. The city library is still requiring it while you're in there. Like, that's the thing. It's such a patchwork of, for most stuff, it's like strongly recommended or whatever if you are not vaccinated. The culture of the Bay Area is such that plenty of people who I think are vaccinated are still wearing them. Plus, like, for instance, I had a little bit of a tickle in my throat the last few days, so I was wearing a mask for that. Fair. And if that just catches on as a thing, I will be very happy.
Understood. And
I think it will. Honestly,
it's kind of the same thing with us here for the most. Okay, so let me just talk about my last 2 weeks or my last month or so. So the reason why we didn't have a podcast is this guy went on vacation, and I went somewhere way up north and very remote to where I basically did not have any type of cell phone or internet or anything like that for. See, I was there from Friday till Wednesday. So
he saw Santa.
What do you mean?
That sounds
am
amazing.
Santa. I am
Also-
Santa Claus.
also no digital connection for like 4 or 5 days. Holy crap, that sounds great.
Yeah, it actually was. Well, we would go into a little town that was about 15 miles away, and we could get signal there.
Did they have like an actual internet cafe?
No, but the cafe had actual internet.
Okay. Like, there's something about the vibe of old internet cafes that I like.
No, the town is like 60 people, okay? And like the town is like a cafe, a gas station, and that's basically it. And churches and a bar. Your standard tiny little town. And I mean tiny.
Did you do your I Want song about how you want something more than can be found in this tiny town? Klauss, you just keep letting me down.
You're letting me down.
Hey guys, I have something that I need to read right now.
Oh god.
Much and more has happened in Eorzea while you were away. I haven't played in so long that I'm now a fucking returner.
Well done.
Oh my god.
Well, if you take the bonus, you get XP when you're in with mentors from the Novice Network.
I'm a mentor.
You'll be rejecting that hard, I presume.
Hey, if it helps him level up faster. Anyway,
also, I don't think I'm a mentor anymore.
You
might need to reapply.
Yeah, you'll have. Yeah, were you a mentor in Shadowbringers?
Yes,
okay.
Crafting.
Then you should be able to get that back, I would think.
I just have to go to the smith and redo it, but,
or just turn it on, maybe. But
I think you have to go to the smith to like actually reactivate the status.
Okay,
that's what the whole pop-up just said, but who cares?
Anyway,
I'll deal with it later. It's a future me problem.
So it was nice. I was sitting up there, and we were at a lake cabin, which was really nice, and it was probably some of the most relaxed time I've had in a very long time. We went up there. Didn't have to wear masks because there's fucking nobody up there.
Nice.
I mean, it's legitimately, I think, the first time I went out anywhere and didn't wear a mask.
It's such a surreal feeling, right?
I mean, I had masks with, and I brought masks with, if I needed additional, but no, there's just so few people, and it was great. I mean, because when we went there last year, everywhere we went, mask up, so it was kind of nice.
Oh,
We just got and then when I got back to work, they had just lifted the requirement for employees to wear masks there. However, we still have to wear masks at the clinic, and I still choose to wear a mask when I leave the office, but that's just me.
Yeah. Plus, of course, Delta variant. Who knows what's going to happen with that?
There's still a lot that we don't know about all of this, so I'm urging people to be safe, be smart, and do the right thing. So
The flagpole will be
I spent a
lickable
lot
next
of money
year.
on my cool anime masks. Yeah.
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 Use your cool anime masks. Yes.
Like, it's almost a fashion thing at this point.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it reminding me a lot of, Southeast Asian culture, how there's a lot of them are still wearing masks, even though SARS was a thing like in the 90s and early 2000s, and in runs of Taliz.
Sometimes you
Hi, everyone.
Sometimes you just don't want to have facial expressions at people.
That's nice too. But then I got back to work, and yeah, all that relaxation gone.
Yeah.
Because as we were talking about in the pre-show, there was a stupid Microsoft printer thing that we had to deal with. And
Guess who got messages as a former ethical hacker? This guy.
Ooh.
I was like, I haven't touched this shit in a decade. I am worthless, but
No,
oh my god.
clarification question. Does that mean no longer ethical hacker, no longer hacker, or no longer ethical?
All of the above.
anyway, not only was there that Microsoft thing I had to deal with, but the software program that we use for all of our computer everything, antivirus, anti-malware, patches,
Oh dear.
remote connections, that software that we used for that was also hit with malicious hackers and shit. So yeah.
Ooh.
Do you guys have a Microsoft Business Solutions account?
Probably not.
Okay, because that got hit too, and so that's screwed up a bunch of CRMs for a bunch of people. It
Yeah,
was rough.
no. There's we use
been a weird week.
a different program that a number of the people who have their product on-prem were hit by this. Fortunately, we got ours turned off. And we have an on-prem solution for that as well. We turned ours off as soon as we heard about it on Friday before I got back to work. We probably won't be turning it back online until tomorrow sometime. So
The library uses some kind of Microsoft business deployment thing, but I haven't heard anything about this, so maybe it's a different thing or it just didn't affect us somehow.
7 deadly streamers.
So working.
Oh,
You work in public sector. That also changes the security protocols that you run.
Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt.
that'd do it.
Thank you again for the resub. We all appreciate that. And welcome back to the stream. Good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
I always want to make sure to highlight our subscribers because we really appreciate that. But yes. Yeah, you just threw the share out now, but hey, we still appreciate it, so thank you. But yeah, so I've been dealing with those two issues. Plus then we had, I don't know why this is that way, but we have a small water heater that was tucked up in the ceiling above one of our switches. Guess what decided to start leaking and throwing water all over the room?
I am going to guess a water heater.
Ding, 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 ding.
Must be psychic.
I hate everything. I hate it so much.
This is why we can't have nice things.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of reasons we can't have nice things.
But no, I think Murphy is just absolutely kicking me while I'm, trying to have a nice, relaxed, time. And then, I don't know. It at least I had a great week, but then it had to be, just ruined with a hell week. But on the plus side, I have a new exercise bike.
Ooh.
So
Is it a
Huzzah!
Peloton?
No, it is not a Peloton because fuck Peloton. They're too expensive.
I would mock you.
No, you cheat.
Ugh.
You cheat. You buy a normal ass bike, and then you pay for the Peloton subscription, and you watch it on your phone.
Or you just watch
Ooh.
something else on your phone while you sit there and pedal for like an hour.
Yowamushi Pedal is pretty fun. Saying.
What is that?
It's a sports anime about bike riding.
Of course it is.
That seems deeply appropriate.
Of course it is.
It's actually pretty good, too.
But
You
yeah,
could watch the sports anime about the card game with the poetry. Why is that an anime?
Shut up with where you're going with that thought process, because that show's awesome.
I mean, it looks really cool. It's just like, yeah. Just
But-
like, it's such a bizarre thing to make into the concept for an anime.
anyway, the reason
Bruh,
why
have you been paying attention?
I'm going to mute both of you
It's
for a
anime.
second.
We do whatever.
The reason why I end up having to get a exercise bike, initially I was going to just rejoin my gym. I went to a gym prior to starting the podcast. Prior to losing my job, I was going to a gym, help me lose weight, help me get in shape, help me with a lot of things. I figured, well, this is a great time to try and redo that. I go to the place where the gym, where my gym was, and it wasn't. So yeah.
Pandemic casualty.
They must have disappeared a while ago, but I just never paid attention because it's like they're always there, you know. They've been there since
Important
like
thing
2012.
to check. Were they still charging you?
No, I had not been. I hadn't been a member of the gym since 2015.
That does not stop some gyms.
No, they have not been charging.
Okay, good.
But
Gotta be safe on these
no,
things.
I canceled it the right way, made sure that everything was good. So, but so I tried. I liked them because they were a nationwide chain, and if I wanted to go exercise at any of them, I could. Like if I was out and about, and I had done that in the past. If I was out traveling, I could go stop at one of these gyms and do the thing there. But yeah. So they were closed. We had another national chain here in town, and they didn't have any information as to what their pricing schedule or anything like that was on their website. So that's sketchy number one.
Right.
So then I go to the actual location, and they say, oh, stop in, come to the front door and talk with somebody about, signing up for a membership. So I do that. The door's locked.
Hmm.
And it's in the middle of business. There are people going in and out the back door, with their membership cards and all that, but the front door is locked. They say they have office hours right now. Bye. So instead of spending $50 a month on a gym, I spent about $266 on a bike.
So as long as you use it for about 5 months, you're good.
Well, I plan on using it more than that, but the only
Exactly.
thing that
but that's like your break-even point.
Yeah, it just pisses me off because the reason I wanted to go to a gym was the all-around package that they offer. Not just, cardio, but, weights and all that other stuff. Plus the ability that if I wanted to, I could talk to somebody about, other courses or, ways to improve core strength or this, that, or the other thing. Yeah. So
plus with things reopening, they'd probably let you start licking the seats again. That's a thing, right?
No. I
don't go to gyms much.
If you want to help Seyrr, you can hit us up on PayPal at podcast@Phoenix Radio, and we will send Seyrr to therapy.
I need so much of it.
But why? Then we lose all of this, all this wonderful content. Anyway,
my trauma is your gain.
So that's probably so true. That's so sad.
Yeah.
So that's probably the most that I've shared it in a while. Taliz, how about you?
So good news, everyone. I'm not going to jail.
Woo!
That's not where we're supposed to start with that story.
That's always something that you want to confirm at all times.
Marvelous Motors got really popular really fast. Unfortunately, that meant that I was churning cars really quickly, which it turns out you're not supposed to do. I did it right. I still had a business license, and I transferred the titles to myself before I resold them. The problem is that it didn't look like I was doing that because I was doing it so quickly. The good news is I have friends at title agencies, so I was able to make it happen. Unfortunately, the Washington State did not like that, so I had to prove that I was doing my business legally. So now I get to start Marvelous Motors over again with no traction or momentum. So that's a thing I get to do. Other cool thing, I'm looking at starting my master's program probably next month, so that'll be super fun and very, very time consuming. So if you think you don't see me post on social media now, it's about to get way worse.
You have negative postings.
I mean, I actually did delete like 2 TikToks and a bunch of stuff off my Instagram the other day.
So yes.
Okay, so yes.
So yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it's been a very, very busy last couple of weeks with a bunch of applications and emails and letters to places in Prince Edward Island, in Ireland, in Los Angeles, in Texas, in the Bay Area, in Winter Park, Florida. And also, I'm still on fun employment. I don't take being bored well, so I just find stuff to do. And that is what I've been doing for the last 2.5 weeks.
And that's what happens when you are the most interesting potato on the planet. Even though you're no longer a Lalafell.
Just wait till I can travel again. Wait till I can travel again. It's going to get even more crazy.
Well, you have to travel.
That's pretty interesting to be an interesting potato when you're not a potato. I feel like that's self-demonstrating right there.
That's very interesting. I love that we can still break you.
Woo!
I love it. I have missed you guys so much.
Oh, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, guys. Not only did we have a lot of stuff go on with us in our lives, but Final Fantasy had a lot of stuff going on with it too. So let's go into that gaming community news. Starting with some Final Fantasy VII news. So apparently, Final Fantasy VII Remake directors say that intermission will points directly to the sequel. Let me copy paste this into the chat so you guys can take a look at this as well. So with that, let me open up the link on my page. A lot of what they brought in with the intermission DLC chapter is going to be brought into Game 2 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake series. Things like the what do they call those attacks? Where you work, where Yuffie
like
and so on. Yeah, the team attacks. Thank you. Yes, all the team attacks. It was a great addition to intermission. It's not like they want to bring stuff like that into the main series.
Yeah, like any game that's had some kind of combo attack thing, Chrono Trigger, Suikoden, stuff like that. Like, even if you're just controlling one of the characters, it has that feeling of teamwork. There's all sorts of opportunities to express little things based on how they work together. Like, that was actually one of the things about Chrono Cross that ticked me off so much, was that there were so few double and triple texts. It was just like, it felt like there was so much opportunity, and like, it was a game. Why didn't they have more?
And realistically, it's something that worked well in Final Fantasy 15 as well.
Yeah.
Because when that game first started, you only played as Noctis. And then you were controlling everybody else through AI, and you could set up these team attacks with each of the different companions you had. So I guess it makes perfect sense to have it in the remake.
Yeah, seeing them set you up and then punching that home always feels so good.
And the gameplay, like I said, 15 was just kind of the start of it, but they really made it a lot cleaner in intermission. It is so much nicer. The only thing that kind of drove me nuts was the fact that Sonon always gained ATB gauge a lot slower than Yuffie did. So it was a lot more difficult to get those combo attacks off.
Yeah, so I guess it'd be more of a, okay, Yuffie's supposed to be hopping around doing her thing, and then when Sonon's ready, it's time for the big finisher.
Yep, but I'm interested to see how it's going to work, say, with Tifa and Cloud, or, Barrett and Red, and, and what types of combinations that they give us in Part 2. That's going to be where I'm really interested.
Assuming that the timeline is diverging as much as it seems like it might be, I'm excited to see what they're going to have for Aerith as well. Since she may be sticking around a bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, because she was, what, in the original, she died at the end of disc 1?
I believe so, yeah.
So,
Sounds right.
yeah, I mean, theoretically, you know, if we've only covered half of disc 1 right now.
I mean, they may also just be doing stuff up in a like based on how much stuff is changing. Like a lot of it was just like, okay, we're chasing in the originals, we're chasing after Sephiroth. We're going to these places, getting introductions to all of these things, kind of getting the world laid out so that we could then have a whole bunch of events happening in them later on. And some of that might, yeah.
I was like, for $49.99, you can get the Aerith Doesn't Die DLC.
Oh my god! Do you know how many people would probably do that? Look at the insane shit people did to get her back.
Have you not seen the meme?
I've seen the meme. I'm just thinking about it as a genuine possibility.
And that's why I laugh. But yeah,
Laugh
It'll
and
happen.
cry.
Some nerd's gonna do it.
but no, it's great. Like I said, I still need to finish the second chapter of Intermission, but no, I'm really looking forward to how this gameplay will add to the sequel. All right, and then I found an article that talks about why Yuffie was chosen for Intermission and not Vincent. Let me pop that into the chat here.
Felt like Vincent just falls into the game so much later that putting him in now just doesn't fit.
Yeah,
Since we're
and
getting,
the
I
article.
believe, the 7 remake is supposed to be a 3-parter.
Mm-hmm.
Putting him in after the second part, maybe, or something similar, but for now, no, Yuffie's the choice.
Yeah, the article gets into that, like especially even though they're playing around a bit with the canon, with the timeline, with the sequence of events, like Vincent's asleep underneath the Shinra Manor. Changing that, like the amount of stuff you'd have to do to get that to change, as opposed to Yuffie, where it's not really clear what she was doing during this time. So a slight little tweak to send her over into the city on some other mission that they didn't know about, easy peasy. You're just filling in some blank pages.
Yep.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. But it still would have been interesting to see what they're going to do with Vincent. Plus, it gives them more time to maybe flesh him out.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of interesting that this was brought up and that they came out and answered the question, you know?
Yeah, like previously there's been a lot of kind of like, okay, all this design stuff is just a bit of a black box. They're going to do things and they're going to be mysterious. So having them engage and talk about, hey, these are some of the decisions we made. Here's what we were thinking. I'm going to go ahead and credit Yoshi P for just this kind of general open attitude. I feel like he's one of the pioneering folks for it at Square Enix.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's definitely opened up communication. I mean, prior to this, we never got this kind of information, especially when it came to 11. At least not until they started doing it in 14.
Yeah. And when he was able to show that, yes, the players have an appetite for this, you can meet that and still be doing all this other stuff, and it really just improves the engagement.
Yep. Plus, it gets people recognize then who it actually is making the game. It's not just a bunch of random people behind computer screens. It really personifies the entire staff, because
the FF14 dev team has fans. Like, I have people gush about FoxClon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they become like little celebrities in their own right, and it's kind of fun to stand.
Or Oda, or Koji, or Mr. Atma, Mr. Ozma, as they're known by
Stan Yoko Taro. What? He is fucking with all of us, and it's glorious.
And we'll get into some more of his fuckery later on in the episode.
Woo!
But yeah,
anyways,
I mean,
we're back with a fun episode, y'all.
It's action packed. It's huge. So
Yeah, we have a lot.
all right, and then to continue on with the Final Fantasy VII theme, they're talking about adding in open world elements to this part 2 of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Which, I mean,
I have no idea how to feel about that.
it makes complete sense. I mean, if you think about it, the original game has a lot of open world or overworld.
Once you get out of Midgar.
Mm-hmm. Basically, you're just running around, and then you've got then random encounters. Nowadays, for a lot of these action RPGs, random encounters doesn't really work. So
I mean, random encounters was always a way to simulate this type of thing and make it so you're. So it was always a band-aid for for more other stuff that the technology just couldn't do.
Again, Final Fantasy 15, took on a lot of this. That world was pretty vast. I mean, you had to drive around in a car in order to get access to it, with any type of speed. Fast travel was a thing, but how cool was it to drive around in the regalia?
Or push it.
That's only at the beginning. But I think there were still a couple of vehicles within Final Fantasy VII that we got to drive around. So maybe that's going to be a mechanic that we're going to get.
Dude, if I can ride a motorcycle in open world FF7, now we're talking.
Yeah,
maybe the tiny Bronco won't get shot down this time.
Yeah, keep dreaming.
What?
Hope.
But a recent interview has all but confirmed that Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 will feature an open world and have gameplay that leverages the vastness of the world. We've gotten to a point with technology where our consoles are powerful enough to be able to handle this type of information now.
I saw a thing claiming, though I wasn't able to fully verify it, that there are fewer polygons in the entirety of the original Resident Evil than there are in Lady Dimitrescu's butt.
Yet there are still more
Gamers.
Polygons
Stop being thirsty.
in one pot in original Final Fantasy X than there are in the entirety of Resident Evil 8. Just kidding.
Oh.
But only by a little bit. What was it? 10,000?
Fired.
10,000 polygons in that one pot?
Wait, are you talking about 10 or are you talking about...
I'm talking about original 14.
Oh, sorry, 1.0 then.
1.0, yes. I'm sorry if I said it wrong, but...
Yeah, no worries, I misunderstood or something. But yeah, no, like, it was gorgeous, but oh my god, was it sandblasting a soup cracker.
I mean, we could probably get away with it now with how powerful a lot of machines are. PlayStation 4, PC, those are all way more powerful than what we had back in 2010.
Depends on if they ever fix that GTX shortage.
It's coming, but
maybe.
Anyway,
supply lines are complicated.
But yeah, it's really cool to see that they're going to go that route. So we're going to be able to leverage the hardware to have an open world experience that we've always wanted with these types of games. And Seyrr wants to ride his chocobo all day.
Hey, I'm just chatting with 7 deadly streamers. It's great.
We could read the next article, why Sephiroth would be a better husband than Cloud. Just kidding.
Okay, I jumped back to the notes to make sure I hadn't missed anything when you said that.
It's at the bottom of the article. That's one thing. The Gamer has a lot of different articles that kind of get into a little bit more of the edge, the fringe territory. So kind of like Kotaku. And the last one we have for Final Fantasy VII is Final Fantasy VII, the First Soldier beta test survey results. Now, you guys remember I did test the beta out, and I did not.
I remember that.
Give it.
Yeah, you were not impressed.
I did not give it glowing marks. Apparently, people who played this liked it a lot better than I did, but one of the biggest complaints was the control scheme. So, at least I'm not alone there. I linked the results in the chat there, and they talk about a lot of people were satisfied by the game. What is it? 61% were very satisfied, 32% were satisfied, only 7% were not, and
like 90% were at least satisfied. And also, again, about 90% said they enjoyed it as much or more than they expected they would. So those are pretty good numbers.
Yeah, I'm in the bottom tier on those, definitely.
Yeah. It was interesting looking at the feedback comments. People mentioning that they're not good at battle royales, but they still had fun with it. That's always been one of the things. Like, unless you want it to be a very niche thing, you have to like grow the pie,
Yep.
and that means appealing to people
Yeah.
who wouldn't normally see themselves as playing it.
Which means, I mean, overall, it's good for for Final Fantasy that people did enjoy their experience, that the limited experience that they had with this game. Like I said, it looked great. It was very pretty. It's just tiny little screen, you know, and all your controls are in that screen, and your fingers are covering up half of that screen. It's tough.
So, one thing that's interesting, because they, again, as you said, they broke down some stuff about the character controls and about the different styles of character available. And about 20% each said that the controls were difficult or extremely difficult and made it hard or impossible to play the game.
Mhm.
And 20% said that the styles all played fairly similarly, or that there was no meaningful difference. So, like, that suggests that, assuming that those were all people who were a bit lower down, like 10% of them were still okay with stuff or said it met their expectations. It's like, these are people who are saying there's some big problems here, but I still liked it. That's interesting.
One of the biggest takeaways I got from this was the fact that they're going to be adding controller support. That's going to be huge. Yeah, exactly. Bluetooth controller support.
I've been playing most of my phone games with a controller at this point, just because it's so much easier when you're not blocking half the screen with your thumb. So I can see that helping a lot.
That will
I
make
play
it
Genshin
huge.
Impact on PC, and I cannot imagine trying to play it on a phone screen with touch controls.
Ugh.
Well, Taliz can't imagine playing it on any screen.
We tried.
True.
Yeah, I still have it installed.
I did try.
For 5 minutes.
I tried, man.
He tried for longer than that.
I know,
He
I'm
and
giving him
Spender
shit.
and I talked about it. Like, we actually went over stuff and determined that this is
6
not a style
hours.
that works.
6 hours.
I didn't play that long. I made it to the
It's a
town.
long time.
That's
3.5
about
of
all.
which I was trapped in my house by police.
Woo!
Well, maybe that's part of your
Bye.
reason.
Yeah, it also looks like of those 4 styles, people were reasonably divided between, though it did skew a little bit towards Warrior, and I saw in some of the feedback comments that a lot of people really liked the style of Warrior and felt like it was a really satisfying one to play.
And it was also the default style that you started with, so.
Yeah. Oh, so, but it's saying the stats come from number of times each style was chosen divided by so I don't think that includes the initial thing. It's like, it's just counting how many times did people change choices and what did they change to.
Okay.
So I think that given what they describe as their methodology, I think it strips out that default.
Okay. Yeah, I think I played it for a couple hours and it's like, oh, this is tough. But
yeah.
Well, I mean, if they take the feedback seriously and they make some of these changes and they allow for, you know, the controller support and, you know, maybe ways to tweak camera movement, that would be huge in improving my personal thoughts of how the game would play. So, and I'd definitely give it a try again.
And tying in with some of the stuff we were mentioning earlier about being more open, the fact that they posted the feedback results and talked about, hey, there's this percentage of people who don't like it. Here are some of the issues they cited.
Yeah.
Like, they outright said some people didn't like it, and these were the problems that they found. Like, that's the type of thing that makes me think they are taking it seriously, and that okay, they will attempt to address those issues.
Yep, and it's a whole different Square Enix at this point. You know, that they're actually open with all of this information.
This is not the type of thing you usually talk about. I appreciate the change. It's just weird.
Yep. All right.
Different. It's not what we're used to seeing.
Moving on to some Final Fantasy IX news. You didn't see that one coming, did you?
Unexpected.
So,
Very unexpected.
meet the team working on a Final Fantasy IX remake you'll never get to play. Now, if that
True.
doesn't just rustle your jimmies, I don't know what will. But
It
again,
is totally being provocative on purpose.
another thegamer.com article talking about Final Fantasy IX Memoria project. They introduce us to some of the people who are working on this. One of the leads named Dan Eder. It says it's no secret that fan projects get shut down all the time. Basically what they're doing is, if you look at some of the assets in the article, they look absolutely amazing. I mean, it looks like sculptures.
So, I mean, the big thing about this is it's not actually a playable game. It is kind of a remake, but in the sense of, like, they're remaking a lot of the art assets. They're kind of not like trying to tell the full story, but maybe trying to highlight certain aspects of it. They describe it as a aesthetic homage to the timeless world and characters, which actually is something that might, like, fan projects, those get legal takedowns all the time. But the fact that this is something more akin to an artwork than an actual playable game might help them out a bit.
Also, thank you for resubbing, Marv.
No problem.
I wanted to let Seyrr finish his rant before I interrupted him on that.
That wasn't a rant. That was an observation. Rude.
But what the bit on the article that really caught my eye was the fact that the project has over 20 developers from studios like Sucker Punch, Ubisoft, Rare, Unbroken, and then more that are helping with this project right now.
You got some decent names in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty big studios that have some talent coming over and helping with this in their spare time.
Oh.
Don't you hate when you have to sneeze and you don't?
Yes, I've had that happen a lot lately. It is the worst.
So yeah, especially when you're doing it when you're doing a live podcast. At least I was able to mute it, so you just got to see the aftermath. But the thing that we're all concerned about with this, I mean, is the fact that most companies are very litigious when it comes to their IP.
They want to protect their assets.
They have to protect their assets, because if they don't protect their assets, they lose their assets.
That's specifically for trademarks.
Oh, okay.
Copyright, you can pick and choose a little bit more on how you enforce. Trademarks are the one where that's going to happen.
Okay.
That said, even though it's not you will definitely lose it, it is very easy to start losing. Like, if something gets out into the world, that may still affect how people see your product. It may affect the image that's going on. There's a lot of stuff that can happen, and you start losing control over your property. Like, not in a legal sense, but just in how society and culture views it.
Yep. So these people did it. So now this group's going to do it, and this group's going to do it, and that group's going to do it, and pretty soon.
And even if you don't have other people doing it, the one that my dad told me about was a 1960s or 1970s poster of Disney characters involved in all sorts of illegal and lewd acts, which Disney does not want anyone thinking of Mickey Mouse like that.
Oh!
Yeah. I think that one actually did end up being protected under parody grounds, but it was a major case for the time.
Yeah. And it just reminds me of a video that I watched today. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Matt Pat and his different channels that he has. I really like watching his Food Theorists channel. He had a video today where he's talking about McDonaldland, how they were sued for blatantly copying HR Puffin stuff. So that type of thing, it all happens. I mean, if you look at the old 70s McDonaldland characters, it's pretty blatant. I mean, so.
But was it theft, or was it homage, or just something in artistic style? Because
it's general McDonald's, artistic style, they did it for money. That's theft.
That's yeah. Was it money? 'Cause if it was money, you're screwed.
Yes, it was money. Because, well, the staggering stat I saw today, because of something that came out of that, Happy Meals, which make like $8.2 million a day in sales.
So much.
That is a lot.
But they are happy.
So much.
But yeah, I mean, it just shows that, companies do have to protect, their rights. They're in their rights to do it because they spent their time, their money, their efforts to create and promote and sell these products. So, I mean, I understand, you need to protect it, but
Intellectual property law is a very complicated beast, and we could talk for hours.
also
about it.
as a
For sure.
as a group that utilizes assets from said company, in a hopefully one-off way to entertain and educate about said company's stuff. We hope they've been pretty good about when it comes to a lot of things like what we do, podcasts. We're trying to promote their products, talk about the things that we enjoy about them, and basically simp for them. But no, if this were to end up becoming some sort of for-profit thing with this remake of Final Fantasy IX, then yes, I could 100% understand they would have to go after it legally. But maybe somebody will be able to sell them on the idea and have them jump in on it. We'll have to see. I really look forward to seeing more about this particular project, and maybe we'll see something come of it, rather than it's
Fingers
shut
crossed.
off because SE decided to squash it. But that's not our only bit of Final Fantasy IX news. Apparently,
yes,
there is going to be an upcoming Final Fantasy IX animated series, which could be used to expand the world of Gaia.
And this one is like canon licensed or whatever.
Yes, this is a fully licensed animated adaptation by Cyber Group Studios. What's great about this is they talk about why this could potentially be an amazing thing for Final Fantasy. If you look at the games prior to 9, 7 and 8, they're a lot more, they're darker. The game, a lot of the assets are somewhat more realistic. 8 more than 7 at least, but well, we kind of give them a little bit of a pass because PlayStation was very new when 7 was developed. So I mean, what it did was amazing, but it doesn't stand up right now. But
it did not age well.
Yeah, 8 still looks pretty damn good. Overall, it's a very realistic looking game for the time.
It's the best looking game in the room.
Did you play the HD remaster that came out a few years ago?
I have it, I think. It looks a lot better now. But
it does.
Squall is still the best looking man in the room.
That will never not be funny.
Exactly. But
that will never not be fucking hilarious.
When 9 was released, the style changed drastically, and it went back to a more cartoony style. And it's that art style that is going to lead well into an adaptation, for a cartoon style series like this. And they talk about that. And plus the fact that they can expand on some of these stories within that we didn't necessarily get to see in the game because technology kind of limited it based on storage space. And we still had 3 discs, I believe, for 9, or was it 4?
I think it was 4 at that point. I'm not sure.
I know 8 was 4, but I want to say 9 was 3 again. I'd have to go back and actually look. But they mentioned
4 discs.
Okay, I thought they mentioned 3 in the article.
The 4th disc is super short, and it's mostly just the final dungeon.
Okay. But yeah, they figured that they can maybe utilize that to kind of create different seasons. So like I said, the last dungeon was basically on the 4th disc, then the previous 3, were, could be divided into chapters within the story.
Yeah, like the final dungeon is this big building thing when you're playing a game, but for an anime, it's like watching them, like maybe some specific challenges that they run into, revelations that they have, but you're not going to have every single bit of the final dungeon. That's just not good TV.
Unless you've
That's
got
boring.
unless it's Dragon Ball Z.
As I said, that's just not good TV.
Shots,
For 30 episodes.
shots fired.
Anyway,
Seyrr has opinions on this.
I
I
really
can tell.
I really want to see how this develops, because 9 is probably my favorite Final Fantasy game. I love the
I definitely
story.
appreciate
It's in
it
my
more
top
than I
5.
used to.
Easily.
Yeah, I loved the characters. I loved, the fact that they brought it back to the old school style. 1 was the first game that I played on Nintendo, and then I played 7 on PC, and then 9 was my first one that I played on a PlayStation. So the fact that it went back to the way I remember it, actually I played 1, and I played Legend, and then I played Adventure, which were all in the more classical RPG style, as far as what the character design was and the storylines. So that's the kind of stuff that I loved, and the fact they went back to it in 9 is, I think, why it holds a special place in my heart. So and plus I love a really good animated series. So, and yes, like 7 Deadly Streamer says in the chat, 9 has Vivi. Enough said.
9 does have VV.
Oh, he weathers his existential crisis so well.
All right, so some Final Fantasy XI news. They've launched a new We Are Vana'diel website in preparation for the 20th anniversary of Final Fantasy XI. Holy shit.
I'm just so incredibly impressed that it's been 20 years.
What?
Still going.
I
MMO.
built a computer for this game.
Yeah, I built a couple computers for that game. I had dial-up internet.
Sweet history.
It's so long.
I had dial-up internet when I beta tested this game.
Oh man, they've got like a full history of it, which they're adding on to. And there's a category for confidential story for the behind the scenes things that were going on during the development and the early days of the game.
And really, a lot of that is new to us as players because there was no news. I mean, we had to like hear about things that maybe popped up in Japanese magazines, and then were translated and put on places like Alakazam and sites like that. We'd get maybe a little news that way, but no, when a new expansion was coming out, we didn't know about it until maybe a month or two in advance.
Yeah. And then it would just happen, and we'd be like, cool, now what? Like,
Adventurous
kids.
history.
We can't do
Goblin
anything with this
Trains is
information.
Delphina's specialty. The Ram's Reign of Terror. Oh, I have a friend who only played for like a relatively short time, who just got absolutely terrorized by the Rams in Kronstadt Highlands.
Oh,
Good times.
but yes, for me, it's all about Gabi train to Selbina. If you were AFKing outside of the zone, you had to get out of there. You were about to die, and you could D-level.
Well, Crawler's Nest is shut down for half an hour, unless a Beastmaster comes in which case we can all get back to leveling, but we're not letting them in our party.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That freaking Brady Games guide.
It's still back there. I still have it.
I'm happy
Yeah.
I worked for Prima.
All right. I mean, there is some Final Fantasy XIV news to talk about as well. There's a free login campaign going on right now, guys. From now until August 23rd, anyone who previously purchased Final Fantasy XIV and whose subscription has been inactive for at least 30 days is eligible to play for free for 14 days. Which,
Normally
again,
it's 4 days, so 2 full weeks is a little unusual.
yeah, you're right. It is.
They want to get everybody through.
Yeah.
That's true. But remember that is 14 days from time of initial login, so the clock continues. It doesn't stop when you log out.
Right. But still, like
True.
that, it was the same with the previous ones as well.
Yep.
So they're still giving like over triple the time they have before.
That's true. Yeah, for some reason I thought it had been 14 days for a while, but no, I guess it has been.
96 hours. I have a friend who got burned hard by this.
Yeah. So yeah, I might have to get my my sister back into this. See if she's interested in giving it a try. I bought it for her PlayStation. Back
I
in the
know
day.
a couple people I can poke.
That, and I think you can actually buy the full game for PC for really cheap right now.
Do I have to
Yeah,
look
the
up the
full
meme?
game.
I will look up the meme.
No, stop it. The full game is like $40. Like, it's really cheap right now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all the expansions up to Shadowbringers,
Including the award-winning. I'm done.
I will drive to your house to backhand you, sir.
I can mute him.
That counts as visiting.
I can mute him.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right,
Cool.
so the new soundtrack, Death Until Dawn, is available for pre-order right now, and it releases on September 15th. So you can either go out to the Square Enix web store, or if you want, you can go to CD Japan. Both of those sites have it available for pre-order. It includes a code for a wind-up Lina minion, as in the bunny girl from the first, not Lena from Final Fantasy V. Also,
We have that minion.
It's true.
Also, a number of the pre-orders will get a collector's CD sleeve. You guys saw the one that came for the Shadowbringers one, right? That I showed you.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, so this one's gonna be kind of like that.
it's pretty cool.
Also, speaking of more stuff coming up soon in crossovers, there's going to be another Final Fantasy XIV and Lawson crossover. We are going to be getting Light
Is it chicken again?
and Dark Crystal Karaage.
Yes,
Okay.
it's chicken again.
So there's like I saw a picture of it. There's this cute little kind of minionified version of like a chicken in paladin armor that apparently they didn't even request. Like the folks
That
just
sounds
decided
right.
to do this.
That tracks.
Yep. So this was announced during the end of the live letter, and there will be more details coming in August. And does this mean that our friend Marvelous will be making a trip to Japan to test this out for us?
Yes, as soon as it's open. I literally have 2 tickets that I've returned for credit on JAL. And as soon as it's open, yes.
Like I said,
I'm
this is
going.
going to be in August, so.
Also, I just hope we get those
Ugh.
chickens as actual minions.
Oh god, that would
'Cause
be
that would be
hilarious.
adorable.
Yes. Talking about food, there is going to be an official cookbook on the way? Question mark. Apparently,
I saw that.
there is a placeholder on Amazon right now for a licensed cookbook. It doesn't say on the Amazon page what it's for, but according to our friends over at Gamer Escape, oops. Why did I have to do the login campaign again? I wanted this one. I can't copy paste today. That tracks.
It's unfortunate.
There we go. So according to our friends at Gamer Escape, you can journey through the rich culinary landscape of Final Fantasy XIV Online, featuring favorite flavors from across Hydaelyn and Norvrant, and easy-to-follow instructions. This tome provides numerous tips on how to make the most of your ingredients. Start your day with Farmer's Breakfast, a very famous and simple yet delightful dish. Savor the night's bread of Krithis. Dive into Lenosha's Rolandberry cheesecake, and many more.
Oh yeah, there's a link to the Simon and Schuster page. That's the publisher.
Yep.
And then,
And then,
fascinating.
There's a
But will
pre-order.
they show us how to put in all the love into our sandwich basket that the Crystal Exarch put? The secret ingredient is MSG.
MSG,
No.
the king of flavor.
Hang on, I'll be right back.
Anyway, like I said, there is a page up on Amazon. It doesn't specify that it is the Final Fantasy cookbook, but it's assumed that it is, and it's going to pre-order for $35 and will be available on November 9th. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
getting it.
But are you going to make us anything from it?
If you come visit me, yes, I will. Oh, he has such good taste.
That's the stuff.
Uncle Marvelous has MSG.
I don't think you're allowed to do that voice.
I didn't hear what you said at all.
Are you muted?
I muted it so that when I like yeeted my microphone across the desk, it wouldn't destroy everybody. Forgot about that. No, I have one walk.
Oh, so you're not a walk.
Monogamous walk.
You're not a walk fuck boy.
Not a walk fuck boy. Monogamous to the walk.
Yep, I only have
Do
one
I
walk
need
too.
to watch more of his videos to understand that?
Yes.
No. You just need to deal with me more often, which is probably worse.
Well, okay. I just need to say more things so you come down to backhand me, and then afterwards we'll get ramen. It'll be great.
I'm down. Anyway.
So yes, Final Fantasy 14
Yeah,
cookbook.
so I want one, but I have this unfortunate suspicion that it's going to be like a lot of the licensed and branded cookbooks where they grab a couple things that everybody knows about and they make a recipe for those, which is mostly usually just plating. And then a lot of the recipes are ones that are just mass produced and churned out, that they just flavor and change a couple names and change the plating and turn it into a special thing for whatever brand the cookbook is.
It's like
A very egregious one is the Hunger Games cookbook. Pita's cheesy biscuits. They're fucking copycat Red Lobster biscuits, but they're from Pita's bakery. No, they're not. They're fucking copycat Red Lobster biscuits, and they are in the Hogwarts cookbook too.
Well, here's the thing.
Hang on,
though.
hang on.
Final Fantasy 14 cookbook. I'm all in.
Given that District 12 is supposed to be in the Appalachia region, they might still have Old Bay seasoning. This could work.
That's the best argument I've heard for it. But
Thank you.
if it's a real 14 cookbook where they're breaking down, like, here's why we put peppermint on pizza, like, real item, by the way, like, sure, like, that's fine. Break that stuff down and make it make sense. But if it's just copycat, take your sourdough starter, add an egg and ham to it, I'm gonna be like, no.
It's like,
It's
yes,
not a
you
recipe.
just you made pancakes. You put little decorations on it to make it look like a little elf face, but it's pancakes.
It's pancakes. I also have about this much space on my cookbook shelf, so as long as it's this big, I'm just gonna buy it
Well,
anyway.
it's 192 pages, so I think it'll be about that size. But they say there's going to be 70 recipes in there. And the fact that Final Fantasy has so much invested in its culinarian quest lines and lore and everything they put into it, I think this is going to be a little bit more legit.
It's possible that we're wrong, but both Marvelous and I have reason to be skeptical.
No, I fully understand it. I have seen those licensed cookbooks as well.
I
and
see
yeah, they're
a
shit.
lot of them pass through the library as well.
Like I said, I'm hoping that with the amount of, in-game stuff available, that they'll be able to do something along the lines of what a lot of the content creators have done that play with these recipes in a real-life situation.
To which end, like, there's a WoW cookbook that's actually really super fucking accurate and good.
Just as long
There's
as
ones for the Tales system that is pretty accurate and good. So, sure. This
Just-
could be one of those, and I'd be really happy to see if it was.
avoid the one for the Breath of the Wild.
Brian David Gilbert's video on that was the defining thing.
All right.
Put this tree into a pot with its dead chicken and then boil it with a cow's asshole. It's soup now. No, it's not soup.
I mean, technically, you can do a lot of things in its soup.
When technically gets involved, bullshit is occurring. Just saying.
Yes. And you'll need that. You'll need like those cow anuses in order to make the cheese.
Speaking of
No.
anuses, so apparently there has been a lot of WoW refugees coming over to Final Fantasy 14. Now, they aren't the anuses. The people who are reacting to them playing are the a-holes. Apparently, there is a very, very big WoW streamer, Asmongold, who has been playing Final Fantasy XIV now for the past week or so, I guess. And I guess his opinion of the game is he loves it. He is still streaming it. He has thousands and thousands of people watching him, and he has hundreds of people griefing him in game.
What the hell? Like, part of me wonders if that's like, is that FF14 players who don't like that he came over? Is that WoW players who feel betrayed and decided to hop in? I don't even know anymore.
It's tough.
I did see a posting of apparently at least one person who had gotten a couple week ban. Because you're in general, you're not supposed to be disrupting the play experience of others, and oftentimes it's small scale, it's difficult to see, it's difficult to prove. Having a GM address it is but when you're doing it on the thing of a massive streamer where how many people watch it? Thousands?
Over 200,000 viewers tuned in to see him descend to Eorza the first time.
So yeah, when you have a couple, 100,000 people watching you grief this guy, that's a lot of witnesses.
Yeah. I mean, people were getting on their large mounts and just blocking access to NPCs or, things like that. So come on, guys.
Come on, people.
Great community, by the way.
Don't be awful.
But yeah,
I'm pretty sure none of the people listening to this show would do that. Our listeners are good.
I don't know. I think Taliz might do it just for the lulls.
I can't see it,
Depends
honestly.
on who it is. Depends on who it is.
I cannot see
I don't
doing
watch
that.
streamers, I would have no idea
Exactly.
who this person is.
Honestly, when I first heard about this, I had no idea who Asmongold was. I don't watch very many people play games, honestly. That's funny coming from a guy who streams on Twitch occasionally.
I mean, it's like my friend who develops games who can't remember the last time that he played a game.
Well,
that happens a lot.
I mean, I would say a lot of streamers probably don't watch other streamers because they are very busy with their own content or they have their own lives, and that's understandable.
I mean, that's just everyone.
No
one has enough time for anything.
Apparently, this guy, he's got a huge following. He's extremely entertaining, and I think that, he's going to do nothing but bring good to Final Fantasy XIV just because it hasn't been a largely viewed game in Twitch. Granted,
it's really hard to stream a story game.
YouTube videos get a lot of views because people are going out and looking for Miztech videos on this X Primal, or they're looking up how to do a number of different things.
Or quite frankly, I will look for videos of story things because I cannot be bothered to try to log in and hunt down exactly which page in the Unending Journey. I'll just okay, it was around this patch, look it up, jump around the video, there we go.
Yep, watching cutscenes, stuff like that, absolutely. But to live stream and watch somebody progress through an MMO is painful. I'm not gonna lie. I did it for a very long time on a regular basis, and it's
hard to make that engaging content.
Absolutely. But I think that it's gonna bring a little bit more, and hopefully it helps all streamers on Final Fantasy XIV, because if they like this guy, maybe they'll start looking for other people who are playing the game, which partially explains maybe why Final Fantasy XIV broke the Steam concurrent player record of 42,000 players recently.
And that's just people playing on Steam, wasn't it?
Just Steam.
That's just Steam. Yeah. And Steam is probably, other than Mac, the smallest percentage of players. Granted, yes, Steam is a PC thing. Not many people actually purchase the game through Steam.
Yeah.
And I used to link my launcher into Steam so I could launch it that way, but it still was not considered a Steam game. So I don't know if they actually monitored that.
I feel like they had, because we have PC is probably the highest for sure, followed by PS4.
Yep, PS4, PS5.
Steam is probably third. I'd say PS5 is behind it, and Mac is definitely at the bottom just because they didn't optimize the game for Mac. So a lot of Mac hardware just straight can't run it. Even like a 2018 MacBook Pro can't run 14. So like, why? Like, if they're not going to optimize for it, people aren't going to play on it.
Yeah.
F's in the chat.
F in
yeah,
the chat
I mean,
for
that's-
all the Mac players.
It's pretty cool to see that's happened. I mean, it's such a cool thing. I mean, even mainstream video game shows were talking about it. You know, they've been talking about, you know, Asmongold, you know, jumping ship potentially, and then talking about, you know, that they've seen the highest number of players, you know, signing into a particular game source. So, but yeah, if we look look deeper into it, the peak in player numbers came a day after Asmongold began streaming it to over 2 million followers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, definitely hand in hand. So I'm hoping that we're getting more people not only joining on Steam, but also you know, downloading it on PC, or you know, pulling it from the PlayStation Store or whatever. So it's just nice to see more people jumping into the game. I'm pretty sure we'll soon be seeing the numbers 20 million coming from the Final Fantasy XIV group. I think we had 18 million not that long ago.
It's going to rise and then it's going to fall. Yeah, it's going to rise and it's going to fall, because that's usually what happens when people jump to an MMO. Is they play it for 3 months and then dip.
Yeah,
but it's
like, not everyone's necessarily in for the long haul. Some of them are going to be like, hey, I'll try it. And then they're like, not for me. I gave it the old college try.
Realistically, though, this is the best time for anybody who wants to join in to jump in right now, because we are 5 months away from a brand new expansion.
And you have 4 whole ass games to play.
And you've got a bunch of bored veterans who are probably happy to be like, hey, an adorable newbie. Let's take them through things.
Which I would say, you know, aside from the people who are griefing Asmongold, the majority of the Final Fantasy XIV player base is happy to help other people. So, I mean, there's
this is an insanely friendly game, an insanely friendly player base.
So it's nice to see the numbers. It's nice to see, you know, the interest growing again, especially for the fact that WoW has kind of been stagnant lately. So, but you know, like I said, it's all good to see more people jumping in the game, watching people play the game. And speaking of people watching others play the game and collaborations, Final Fantasy XIV also has a collaboration going right now with Twitch, where if and Nick Nar, thank you so much for resubbing.
They do.
Yeah, I know you guys can't hear that, but I'm glad to see you guys stopping in and joining us and supporting the show. It's greatly appreciated.
49 months. Thank you, Nick Nar.
Yeah, he and I think he's actually ahead of me on sub months, because I think I missed a little bit before. So, but no, we, like I said, the people who support this channel are dedicated, and I appreciate every one of you. So with this, the Twitch and Final Fantasy XIV collaboration, if you go to one of the streamers that they list on their website, and you gift up to 4 subs on their channel while they're playing Final Fantasy XIV, you will get a code for the Black Fat Chocobo mount. So that's what they're trying to, you know, get people to watch Final Fantasy XIV and support the streamer base, which on its surface seems great. You're supporting people.
Stuff seems great on its surface,
but the list of players is small. It's all the players who are, I believe that they are the ones who are listed with Square Enix as, you know, their partners in Twitch. They are I think they are have some sort of affiliation with Square Enix. And it's very, how do I put this without coming off too terrible?
I'm allowed to say it. It's very cishet white male.
I'm
allowed to say this.
You're not wrong. And yeah, there's not a lot of variety or There's not a lot of diversity.
There's not like there's very little representation of persons of color, queer streamers, which, especially given that it launched during Pride, rankled at a lot of us. Like, I think a lot of it is people who are already Twitch partners, where it's like, okay, it's people who are kind of already established. So I am really wondering about who exactly this is meant to benefit. But I am a cynical bastard, so
I mean, I'm gonna probably sound very ungrateful or very selfish when I say my first thought when I heard about this was, or saw the list was, wow, where are the small streamers? Where are we on that list?
Where are we? Where's Remix and Emmy? Where's Maelstrom Radio?
Where's Pete and
Gamer
Avi?
Escape? Where are our friends?
Yeah, where's Moogle Go
Right,
Round?
like literally, where are our friends that play this game?
Yeah, where
Who
are
the hell are all of these people?
I mean, I know who Ethis is. I know who Happy is. I know who Zeppela is. They're all very big names in Final Fantasy XIV. They're all Twitch partners. I know who Mione is. You know, they're all people who have a large subscriber base, a large following base. They play mainly 14, and they are recognized by the community as, you know, Final Fantasy XIV experts, so to speak. But where is the random streamer who spends 6 days a week, you know, going through and RPing and playing New Game Plus and enjoying the storyline with their 2 or 3 concurrent viewers? Where's their name on the list? Where's the crafting streamers? Where are the people who are doing raid progression with their static, but, you know, decide to show it on Twitch, but only have, say, 5 or 6 people who follow them? Where are they on this list?
This really feels like something that's more to like benefit Twitch by having like, okay, here's this thing where people are engaging with this, where they're buying subscriptions, where I think a lot of us were really hoping it would be a way to kind of showcase and introduce a lot more of those smaller groups, a lot more of those ones who get into these really interesting aspects of this game, rather than just like kind of the big name, like generalist, like, because they're not bad streamers. It's just like, they already have so much of the attention.
So much could have been done to help the small streamer, to help, you know, just the person who maybe doesn't have the name recognition, the person who has not yet, you know.
And also just like, you know, like non-cishet white male voices. I mean, I think there are some women on there, but still. But
no, I think the majority is that, and like I said, it's all, and they're all partners, they're all large names. Like I said, they worked hard to get where they're at. I am not holding any of that against the people who are on the list. My problem lies with how the list was populated.
Yeah, this is more who's making the decisions of which voices to elevate.
Like, was there just a poor intern at Square Enix who went out to Twitch and got a list of the top 100 streamers? Is that what they did?
Was there someone who just
top 100 streamers
for Final Fantasy XIV?
Hit them all. See who responds.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got some comments in the chat about that as well.
Yes. So let's see.
That's getting spicy.
Yeah, talking about some of the drops, you know, because Twitch has a drop system where if you play certain games, people who are watching you play that game can get free drops for that game as well, and they usually go to. They're usually allocated to the large streamers because they have the eyes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But like, I get it. It's a business. It's still disappointing.
It just seems to me that this would be a great way to bolster support for the small streamer, because in order to get the item, you have to gift subs. Subs is how people on Twitch earn money. So it seems like there was not enough research was done.
I don't think it's necessarily that not enough research was done. The impression I have is they had a set of goals that aligns with their interests that maybe doesn't align with what we would want to see in regards to supporting certain types of voices or engaging certain parts of the community.
Yeah, maybe we say fuck too much.
It can't
Who
be
knows?
it. Fuck that.
But there's also the fact that we have to look at this and say, is this a Final Fantasy XIV related issue? Given what we've talked about at length ad nauseum about the stuff that Koji Fox does, about the stuff that Yoshi P does. We even said it in this episode of they're fans. They have fans of the dev team. Like, we love these guys. We know who they are. And we are the type of players that are saying, hey, I'm taking a break from the game. We go, oh, that's cool. I'll let you know if a patch comes out or there's an event with a drop that you or something that you want. And you're like, okay, we do that. We have that community. This doesn't sound like it's coming from that community. This sounds like it's coming from an absolutely strict business aspect. And from a business standpoint, no, you pick the thing that is the most likely to be successful. You just do. It sucks.
Like,
but
I get it. It's just disappointing.
Working with Pokemon, I've seen this exact thing. Working with Pokemon, I saw the same thing where they didn't care about our local game stores. They didn't care about leagues that were less than 20 people. They didn't care about store owners. They didn't care about league leaders. They didn't care about the fact that all of their money is being earned by volunteers. Looking at you, Pokemon. So a lot of the TCG
that one feels
players
legally
stopped playing
problematic
because we got tired of being treated like crap. It's I actually had to talk to their legal department. I was like, guys, why are we doing this? And they didn't have good answers, which is why a lot of leagues in the area shut down. They had some issues, and it's fine. They have decided to make their choices, and that is what they want to run their game as. And a lot of Pokemon players are picking up Yu-Gi-Oh! And Final Fantasy and Magic, and because they don't want to be part of that. I've watched this exact same scenario play out with different companies, with different people who are doing all of the work and then getting marginalized afterwards, focusing on the game stores that the employees liked, not the game stores that had the bigger leagues or the more successful or more dedicated players. I've seen this with the pieces moved around just a little bit, and it feels familiar enough that I can honestly say I don't own a single Pokemon TCG card, and I can't get rid of the tattoo on my back. And
yeah, you
that is a
can.
problem.
There's lasers for that.
So there is,
or cover. You can do a cover.
There's some issues with this collab. Yeah,
I get it.
there are some issues with this collab, and I feel like it's the business, not the 14 community.
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's. I'm just gonna say this. It's also possible now that news travels both ways. We listen to the 14 team talk about their things. They also listen to the community. We are not the first group that has talked about these issues. I've heard it on other podcasts, and seen it in other articles that people are like, there's a lot of issues with how this particular collaboration was laid out. The fact that Yoshida
they may rethink that a bit.
Yeah, I'm hoping with Yoshida in the position that he's in within Square Enix, he may have some clout to make some changes. So I'm hoping that this oversight is something that can be rectified in the future, and that any future collaborations between Final Fantasy XIV and Twitch can be more inclusive of the entire streaming community.
Make your complaints politely. Don't be a dick about it.
Absolutely.
But, I certainly tweeted to the FF14 Twitter account about when they were talking about this. About like, hey, it's kind of disappointing to not see a lot of these voices represented.
And I'm hoping that they're reading these, taking them to heart, and actually passing them on to people who need to see this. Because if we see this come again and no change has been made, the voices are going to get louder. They're going to get more adamant. And that's when things are going to...
In the worst case, they just give up and walk away.
Yeah, that would be the worst thing. Or they might vocally denounce. Which is something you don't want, because angry voices, about something are heard very, very loudly. So it's hard to recover.
We should move on, or we're just going to be sad.
Yeah.
All right.
Too late.
Well, but it's something that needed to be discussed. All right.
Oh, it absolutely did.
And I wanted to make sure that our
I
opinions
go
were
0
out
to
there.
sad very quickly.
But you can go from sad to happy too, I hope.
Yes, also very quickly.
Because we have some Final Fantasy
Actually,
16
that's kind
news.
of problematic, isn't it? Yes, let's
It
get to
is.
the other news.
Good luck.
All right, so some information that came from the 14-hour live stream about Final Fantasy 16, because a certain Naoki Yoshida is in charge of both games.
When does the man sleep?
When Hell freezes over. So, Final Fantasy 14 Final Fantasy 16 main scenario is complete. English voice acting is nearly finished, but the game might not make Tokyo Game Show 2021. Thanks to our friends over at Nova Crystallis, we got some information that during the 14-hour broadcast, Naoki Yoshida shared some sparse details with the upcoming game, talking about how they are proceeding well with the main scenario and English voice acting. But they want to make sure that any presentations they make for the game are very clean, very they look amazing, and that they are, you know, ready to present. So they're not going to give any more half-assed trailers like they did earlier. I mean, they got panned pretty bad for that initial trailer because it was pretty rough looking. I mean, I appreciate that they showed us what they're working on, but you know, I'm a 14 fanboy.
Yeah.
I'm a Final Fantasy fanboy. When it comes to Final Fantasy, like I said, I simp hard for Final Fantasy. I'm sorry, I do.
Just pump it directly into my veins.
Right.
So I mean, from that standpoint, I understand Yoshida's change to want to make sure that the next trailer that they show is going to be, you know, completely polished and ready to go.
Yeah, they specifically said that they don't want to just be like drip feeding information. So like the next time they do present something, they want it to be something that's going to really knock our socks off.
Yeah. So it's nice to hear a little bit about 16, because it has been a while since we heard anything. It's been since February?
I don't know, man. Time doesn't mean anything anymore.
Gotcha.
Seconded.
All right. So a little bit of other Final Fantasy 14 news to talk about. Like I said, this is a huge news episode. Prior to me leaving on vacation, I got to play the beta for Final Fantasy Origin.
Let's kill chaos.
It was okay. It wasn't super polished. It was a little rough. You know, for a PS5 game, it should have been maybe a little bit cleaner, a little bit nicer. I streamed about an hour's worth of gameplay. I wasn't a fan of. I've never played a Souls-like prior to this. So the controls were a little bit different. You know, there's a lot of different combos, and how they played out maybe seemed a little convoluted to me. The mixture of buttons they made you push in order to get certain moves off. Again, this is one of those things where it's an early beta, and I'm hoping that they're able to take some feedback and that they're going to clean it up. I'm sure I'll give it a try again once the I think this is still a 2022 release game, so it's something that's still a ways off. There's a lot of work yet to be done on it. My biggest complaint was the lack of story. It was kill chaos, and that was it. It was the early voice acting was rough. Like I said, it didn't really seem to have a clear storyline.
It's a demo, so who knows how much they're holding back, but
very true. But like I said, it's one of those things where I hope that they have some more explanation of it prior to release, so I have an idea as to what's actually going on and how it ties into the original Final Fantasy. So other than you kill
Final Fantasy themed version of Kill Bill.
Well, it is what it is. I mean, it's I don't have a ton of great to say about it. I mean,
no.
Final Fantasy VII.
I saw some gameplay of it, and I was like, this doesn't look good.
was great. The gameplay with Yuffie was amazing. Going into this, it was rough. It wasn't pretty. I didn't enjoy it as much. It was grindy. It was moody. It was definitely dark and it was what it was. I just hope that they have a lot better coming for the game. And I hope they change the fucking
You
title.
are struggling to say literally anything about the game, positive or negative. I think we got it. It's just there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But it's a demo.
I mean,
we'll see what grows from it.
My quote in the show notes. Meh.
Meh.
But I wanted to expound on meh. So, now let's talk about some other things that are coming out soon. Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster is going to be releasing the first 3 games very soon. And
thank fucking God they're getting rid of those weird sprites.
The biggest thing that came, the reason why they came with Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters was they wanted to unify the styles of the games. They recently released a 30-minute video that features Sakaguchi, where they show more gameplay of the different games, as well as explain a little bit what's going on. The voice or the video or the audio is all Japanese, but you can turn on subtitles and get them translated. It's a little rough, but it's kind of entertaining. I do recommend you give it a look. The article that I linked has the video embedded in it, or you can just go out to the video if you want to. It actually has Uematsu as well, so it's very entertaining. And like I said, we get to see a little bit more of the redesigned elements of the game. So take a look at that. However, not everything is roses when it comes to Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. A lot of people have issues with the way the text within the games looks. And
it's a very narrow and very tall font,
which I'm hoping is something that can be changed within game settings.
Hopefully, because it looks rough.
Yeah. And if you're playing this on your phone, good luck reading it. It's pretty bad.
Oof.
It's pretty bad. Like I said, the games themselves, I love the style of the sprites for the characters and for the enemy models, but that text in those boxes is
rough.
Oof.
So yeah, I'm hoping that's something that can be changed. Also, I'm hoping this is something that comes out on the Switch, because I want to buy the new Switch when it comes out in October, and I want to play these on it.
Yeah, trying to actually read any of that, you need it for so much of being able to play the game.
Yeah, I mean,
first of all, I want to talk about how the font is rough and Final Fantasy II is being released, which uses keywords as a game mechanic.
Oh, yeah.
That's not going to go well. One of the quotes in the article says these games are newly developed remaster editions based on the original title. Some of the changes and additional elements found in other remakes of these games are not included. So for things like Final Fantasy I, they added 4 additional dungeons in the Game Boy Advance version as you beat each boss and light up one of the orbs crystals. It unlocked a specific dungeon. It was kind of a puzzle dungeon. It was really challenging. The monsters were different. You got some really good rewards out of it. For the PSP version, you got those 4 dungeons plus a 5th dungeon called the Labyrinth of Time. That's like a 100-floor dungeon. It's crazy hard. I had 4 level 99 characters with 999 HP and 999 MP. Every item I could think of, every weapon, every key item, everything loaded. And I still got my ass kicked consistently. It's hard. And they're saying that's not going to be in the Pixel Remaster. I'm like, no, that was amazing. I want that. Plus, there was a lot of cool side story stuff in 4 that they tacked into the PSP remake.
Well,
There's a lot of side story stuff in 3 where they had the 4 Warriors of Light versus the 4 Onion Knights. They're going back to the 4 Onion Knights version. So they might be removing some of the storyline and lore and just cleanup that they did.
So it's not Arc
for
Luna
that
Refia and
GBA or DS remake for it. Nope. You can look at the screen caps. It's Onion Knights.
But like,
which I'm cool with. I actually kind of like the Onion Knights story better, but
beating up
there's
the
so
Emperor's
many
good
things that they're
side, who's
going
still a dick.
all the way back. Yeah. There's a lot of things that I think I'm going to miss. I think 5 is going to be interesting because there's been so many remakes of 5, so many retranslations, and so many mistranslations that there are pieces of the lore and story in 5 that are based on those mistranslations that we had to just run with. And now those are going to be fixed and cleaned up and make sense. And they might lose some of their charm, and it might lose some of its interest. See also for the Chrono Trigger DS remake where Frog no longer talks like Frog because no one else in 600 AD talked like that, and it just didn't make any sense. But now Frog was less interesting as a character. So I'm interested to see how far back they want to go to do these remasters, because we are going to lose a lot of the cleaned up stuff that we've gotten in remakes.
Are they going to fix magic evasion in 1?
That is one of the other things, right? Like, let's talk, like, okay, Temper doesn't actually work in the NES version until you've cast it 6 times, and then it retroactively activates at 6. I think it's 6 or 8.
Huh.
You can actually cast Fear on Chaos enough times that you can then activate Run, and if it works, you actually beat Chaos without dealing any damage to him in the NES game. They definitely fixed that in the vanilla enhanced, totally legit ROMs. They also fixed it in the Game Boy Advance. They fixed it in PSP. But, like, are we going to go back to half the spells don't work and elements don't matter? Or are we going to go back to vanilla enhanced version of Final Fantasy I? He will be. That actually was a specifically picked word using a very old version of an English dictionary.
Yeah, I mean,
so he gets to stay
weirdly, as a kid, I didn't understand what all the jokes were about because the sentence made sense to me,
But, like, he's not going to be Butts, he's going to be Barts. Magic Evasion in 6 is going to work. The spells in 1 are probably going to work. You're not going to be able to select a command and then back out of that command in Final Fantasy II and start the second battle with 255 attack. Maybe they fix
probably
those
for
that's
the
fine.
best.
I'm okay with that. But
yeah.
But, like, the leveling system in 2, are they going to leave that? Or are we going to go back to that? Because that was hard. That was, like, almost game-destroying hard. I don't want that.
Punch yourself in the face so you can get some hit points.
Experience equals level equals stats. Exactly. I like the new version of that they did for the 20th anniversary PSP edition, where it's just straight EXP equals levels equals stats. That's a lot better. I want to keep that.
Well, you should find out about that on July 29th, because the first 3 are released then. July 28th, excuse me.
And they will download as soon as they launch.
I believe right now you can buy all 6 of them for $75.
I did.
I'm contemplating it, but that's only for mobile, right? That's only for one. Like, I could buy it on Steam for that price, but I couldn't play it on my phone as well.
No, you have it on Steam. You have it on Android.
This kind of nonsense is why I'm like, okay, you know what? Your copyright just needs to expire eventually, because you can't just keep releasing like more and more versions of this with varying quality. Just let the culture have it.
I mean,
You're done.
I've bought half the games like twice or 3 times already. I have physical copies behind me. I have digital copies on Steam for most of the games. So it's not like I'm...
What's that? Seyrr, rant about copyright? Don't mind if I do!
How about no? We do want to have to talk about other things in this episode, too.
Oh, God, it's already 8. Where did the time go?
Well, we've had a lot of news.
That's why I mentioned in the chat. I'm like, hey, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's we may end up talking about the live letter in our next episode, because we still have more to talk about before we get there. It's just we have been gone for so long. There's just so much that built up, and we want to talk.
Yeah. I just like
Oops.
talking. It's true.
But yeah, when it comes to that, they have not yet announced a Steam or a Switch release for any of these pixel remasters. Now, you can't tell me that the Switch would not be perfect to play these games on.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
It would be
Absolutely amazing. Like, I might actually buy a Switch.
yeah. Yeah. Like I said, there's a good chance I'm going to buy the Switch OLED edition when it comes out in October, I believe it is. But I would love to have on that these 6 fucking games, because that would be
We are
just
such consumer whores.
well. They also were all on Nintendo when they released.
I'm not wrong though.
We are all consumer whores, and we love our stuff, except for
And
Taliz, because he doesn't have stuff. Except for now he has a new guitar that somebody else got rid of because they had too much stuff. But with that being
In fairness,
said,
she now makes more money than everybody listening put together. So, like, I think she'll be
Good for
just
her.
fine to buy a new guitar.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
More on her and the post show.
with that being said, like I said, that's probably why I'm going to hold off on pre-ordering those games, because I don't want to buy them 3 more times for
No,
Steam.
buy them one time.
Exactly. Even if it costs me an extra $15, it'll save me from spending $150 or more.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, that as much as I really want to play those games, I'm leery regarding the way that they're going to be seen and how it's going to be able to read these commands. So Taliz, let us know what they come up with. They do patch things, so there might be a way to change that in the future, or it might come with it directly.
Change the font. Or honestly, I might be the asshole that just plays it in katakana.
Yeah, because that
Like, all right, we're done. I don't have to deal with this terrible English font.
that did look readable in the videos
Yeah.
that they show. The all of the Japanese characters showed up just fine. It's the English that showed up horribly in certain spots. So
I played
did they
FF1
not
all in
notice?
katakana. It was hard. It was really hard because I don't actually know how to read and write as well. And so I'm going, okay, well, I know what Tatakaya is, fight. And then a lot of it's just item, like really easy stuff to figure out. Spells? Oh God, spells. Like I had to figure out what is Sanda, what is Fira, but if you're willing to put it up with it, there might be a solution to the terrible font. Learn another language.
When
brought
that's
to you
your
by Rosetta
alternate plan.
Stone. Yeah, this episode's sponsored by
It works, man.
Duolingo. Just kidding. Just
Oh,
kidding.
God.
Now, would that not have been the ultimate sponsor segue?
That would have been pretty good.
Dude, if we had sponsors, that would be fire.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and then one more
You guys
piece
want to
of
sell MeUndies on the podcast?
I actually would not mind having Magic Spoon as a sponsor. You hear them on every other podcast. I mean, shit, I actually did try.
No
it.
kidding. They're the new one.
It's pretty good, actually. But
We haven't sold out yet, Klauss.
anyway, yet is the operative word.
God,
I mean, I was thinking it.
you're all terrible.
Yeah, we are, but you love it. Deal with it.
But we
It's
could be
true.
all terrible
True.
and well paid.
Yeah, you guys could actually get paid for this. But
We get paid?
I said you could. We need sponsors first.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
Misunderstood.
one last bit of news to throw in there before we talk about some really awesome stuff is an article that I ran across called Final Fantasy Needs a Muso Style Game.
Oh my god, I know so many people who have been saying this.
So,
Yeah?
again, the gamer throws out this article talking about how Muso crossovers are definitely a thing. I mean, look at Hyrule Warriors,
Yeah, Hyrule Warriors,
Yes.
Dynasty Warriors was the original. Samurai Warriors. Musou game is an interesting name for it, but it comes from the name of the that charged up your super moves in the original one.
But
and then you did your Musou attack, and then like hundreds of enemy little grunts would go flying.
Persona 5 Strikers, another one.
Yep.
So there is so much that to draw from the Final Fantasy universe, where you could easily have any number of Final Fantasy themed Warriors style games, and you can either.
I would actually worry a little bit about which ones you use. Like, there's a large number of potential characters. How exactly do you pick without it being okay, you've got 100 characters to choose from. Make sure they're distinct in playstyle.
Oh, come on. Have you ever played Dynasty Warriors?
Okay, fair.
None of them are very diverse. You're mashing A until you build up your bar, and then you hit B, and then you put off the big attack, and you get on your horse, and you ride to the next thing, and you rinse and repeat. Okay.
And then you're like, oh shit, I pursued Lu Bu.
And then you run.
Dynasty Warriors Gundam.
Which brings me to my idea for a Dynasty Warriors dating sim, where you do pursue Lu Bu. We're still friends.
And banned.
We're still friends.
And mute.
Banned.
Anyway, but no, I mean you could do games based off each individual Final Fantasy game, or like you said, you could do one that's based off of all of them, all like a Diffu, where you've got all the different characters in there with slightly different attacks. I mean, realistically, it'd be a similar type of thing, except you're just running around on a chocobo, and you're spamming your special move, and whether it's a dive with a dragoon character, or you're casting a huge fireball into a crowd, or whatever. So
I could see like having kind of like classes of characters, like jumping characters or magician characters or things like that.
Yeah,
that might be a decent way to handle it.
In a lot of the other games, you start with a set of a few, and you can unlock additional characters to play as. So I mean, that's something that you could potentially do here as well. You could start off with, say, your like, let's say they give you Firion and Cecil and Bartz and
Lightning.
Terra.
Lightning.
I was thinking start with some of the earlier game characters.
I feel like you'd want a little bit of sprinkling throughout.
And then, like I said, you go further on, and maybe you'll unlock Noctis. Maybe you'll unlock Cloud. Maybe you'll unlock.
Are there any main
Selphie.
characters who are mages?
Vivi.
He's not the main character.
Vivi is the main character. Fight me. Sorry, Taliz. I know it was probably loud.
Terra.
Yeah,
it's fine.
She is.
Terra.
Okay, Terra. There's one.
But she also fights with a sword.
I mean, if you're looking for a second one, I don't have an answer for you.
and Seven Deadly Streamers agrees with me. He's the only character. Ha ha ha. So take that.
But there were other people in your
Not
party
how
during the
it
game.
works.
Anyway, but I would love to see a Musou in the Final Fantasy universe. I think it would be amazing. That would be a genre crossover I would love to see in Final Fantasy. Speaking of Final Fantasy crossover genre style things, we had a contest.
Excellent segue.
We announced a contest on the last episode. We wanted to hear your ideas for another genre that a Final Fantasy game should have. And we got entries.
People really wanted to talk about this one.
We got some really good entries, and I thank everyone for entering. All three of you. Yeah, we got 3 entries, but you know what? There were 3 amazing entries. So I'm going to start by shouting out to Rydarian, to Tibiats Salts, sorry if I slaughtered that, and to our friend Shake as well, who's in the chat. So let's start in no particular order, let's go to Tibiet's entry. He goes, "Hi guys, big fan of the pod. I don't often interact, but the discussion gave me idea for a game. What about a Command and Conquer style game, except it's set in the world of Final Fantasy VIII? Instead of sending seeds off on missions, you just send the whole garden and then build a base around it. It can be set in the Sorceress Wars." That's an interesting idea.
I kind of
Actually like that a lot.
You could, like, because you don't necessarily have to have Squall and Company there. This is set at a different point. But you're taking this world, you're kind of expanding its backstory a little bit, like we did with some of the FF7 expansion stuff. We actually had a couple people, both here and I've heard in other places, talking about like RTSs as a genre to expand into, which they could make up for what they did with Lord of Verminion. We had to get the
And Type Zero.
Yeah.
And Type Zero. Type Zero has that in there, but it's very clunky, and you can just say skip, and it just treats it as you won, which is not a good idea.
Yeah, and you know it could play like Shake is saying in the chat. It could play a little bit like StarCraft potentially.
Yeah, there's a lot of options for.
It's going to play a lot like that.
So
it's going to play like that late 90s, early 2000s, like Total Annihilation, StarCraft, Warcraft, some of those early styles of Command and Conquer top-down games. If it played like that, I'd definitely play that. That sounds like a lot of fun.
One thing I do like for this, if we're working with the Final Fantasy VIII setting, is there's always you need factions because otherwise you're just playing the same thing for all of them. You've got 3 different gardens. Maybe you're all on the same side, but each one kind of has a different approach to things. We could see Trabia prior to being missiled. Or Selfie. Like, I feel like there's a lot of potential there for exploring the FF8 world.
Definitely. They continue. My other idea was a business style sim. It would work in a few Final Fantasy worlds, but take 7 as an example. You start off as a small company, and you eventually gain power and notoriety through the point where you can drive Shinra out of business.
Oof, good luck with that.
Yeah, that one would be a little tougher, but I mean, it could be interesting. I mean,
yeah.
It almost seems like one of those. I could see it maybe as an idle style game.
Yeah, maybe like a tycoon type thing.
Where you have it on your phone, you let it run in the background, and then as you build up a little bit of capital, you reinvest and you turn on your multipliers so you get even more money. And
yeah, I feel like having is like kind of maybe it's that type of idle or like mobile game with maybe an FF skin on it, which had some fun elements to it.
I mean, they did it with Final Fantasy 15.
It's true.
They had that tower defense game, which made a lot of fucking money.
Huh. I remember seeing
ads for a lot of 15 fans.
Yeah, no, it made it made more money than 15 did.
Huh.
It made over $1 billion.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I missed that bit.
Yeah, it was one of the most successful mobile games that Square Enix has licensed.
Huh.
I think we've talked about it on the show even.
I don't remember that element of it. I mean, if it did that well, then it can't just be that, okay, FF15 fans. Like, then there must have been a reasonably solid game behind that.
Well, I think those style games play really well in Southeast Asia. And that is probably where the majority of the downloads maybe came from. So
fair enough.
There's a lot of mobile gaming in that area. Anyway, he continues on in his email. Fun idea for discussion, though. I look forward to the pod. As a side, I'm a huge fan of the show. Listening to you guys discuss the game's soundtracks reminds me of sitting down with my buddies when I was younger and just geeking out. You do an excellent job of making the show feel natural. Keep on being you. Kind regards, Tibiet Salts.
Aw. Yeah, like the ones where we do just kind of sit back and shoot the shirt. Like, those are nice. Like, if like reading off of, like, I love you guys, but the patch notes ones, I honestly don't enjoy those as much. They're so dry, and it's like not
why
much
we're changing that
They're
now.
very rough.
We're not. We're
okay. Yeah.
I think we've basically decided to not do that style anymore.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's
Yep.
much more fun to just have that banter, to talk back and forth, like talking about the music ones and all the memories they evoked and the stuff like that. Like, people seem to enjoy it, and quite frankly, I enjoyed making it.
We are
Yes.
getting back to it. We will be continuing on with Final Fantasy IX as soon as we run out of things to talk about.
Oh boy. That said, oh my god,
When we
nice
hit a dry
soundtrack.
patch again, we'll do the fun.
Well, no, there's just
Well,
been
you
so
got
much
this.
to talk about with 14.
Oh, we're fine. We got this.
It's been a thing. So, let's next entry. Let's talk about Rydarian.
All right.
All right, so we'll start with this one. Hey, dudes, just got up to date with PDR Podcast. It's first time contributor, and thank you for that, by the way. My name is Rydarian Reinheld on the Genova server, and this is my pitch for a Final Fantasy spinoff. I'm an engineer at my day job, an auto factory, Taliz. And the thing that that is present in every game, yet never really scratches my nerd itch, is airships. I want a game where I get to build, fly, and fight with my own airship, and build up a crew of Dissidia-style Final Fantasy characters. I want to see the different Sids all yelling at each other from their own ships, like Daleks versus Cybermen, about which ship is the best in an epic rap battle style, while Setzer is laughing his ass off on his floating casino.
Poor FF6 Sid. No one takes him seriously.
I want to get into the
You
complexities of engines with Materia slots versus Magitech engines versus good old Mako powered propellers. Let me dig into that stat numbers by upgrading. Let me dig into those stat numbers by upgrading components and weapons versus weight and speed and maneuverability. So lots of different things going into this. This one gets really in depth.
So can I read the next paragraph?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. So to start your game, you start as a captain of a small ship on the run from a larger airship power. Think of the Faster Than Light. It's a space-based, top-down, real-time strategy roguelike game with the country of Baron and the Red Wings after you.
Yeesh.
And Seyrr, you had a note on the side here.
Yeah. Since a lot of our audience may not be familiar with roguelikes and roguelites, I will absolutely talk about this in more detail after the show. But the idea is that you have like kind of a randomly generated dungeon that you are trying to delve down into. Usually permadeath is an important aspect of it. You're trying to make your way through, manage resources. The particular one has it, instead of dungeon levels, you have your ship with various stations, enemies that may invade, or other ships that may be firing at you, and you have to make your way in FTL. You make your way through various star systems, trying to eventually take down a rebel force that's trying to destroy your empire.
Gotcha. So
Fascinating game.
paragraph continues. Okay, paragraph continues. You are focused on just getting from place to place with limited fuel, trying to scrounge parts and crew to upgrade your ship. You control your crew and focus on keeping your single ship in the air as the overwhelming power threatens to destroy you. You run into FF heroes and or villains, depending on your play style, who will help you out and join your crew for a while.
That's kind of an interesting one. I know a lot of games
this sounds like a blast.
have dug into, the way you play the game determines, whether you walk down the good path or the evil path. A lot of the Star Wars games are dug into that. Fable on the Xbox is a similar one, but yeah, that could be fun.
Eventually you find a group who takes you in, or do we want to keep reading through the rest of his build out here?
Let's read through it. He actually put a lot of time into it, and I think we should share it with everybody.
All right, then. Eventually you find a group who takes you in, and now you can start controlling small fleets. You develop strategies for combat objectives like an RTS. Your airship is getting bigger, and now has a few fighters you can deploy for some Star Wars Squadron-style in-cockpit flight missions. Do a barrel roll. You can now develop AI paradigms for your crew to automate repairs and fighting like pixel starships while you focus on strategy or dogfighting. You also learn why the Red Wings are chasing you. One of the key items powering your ship is a mystical MacGuffin, and that they are part of an even larger world-scale plot. You finally get famous enough to start building your own city and airship factories. True. Save a cat, punch God.
Yep.
You finally get famous enough to start building your own city and airship factories. You send your retainer ships out to get materials and on missions. but you now find yourself caught in the middle of a full-on war between the Carlean Empire, who's using the Baron Red Wings, and the Arcadian Empire in an epic Dynasty Warriors style air battle. Those empires need the orb, crystal, moon power, MacGuffin thing that you have just as much as they want to destroy each other. There are dreadnoughts dropping Ultima torpedoes at you from the sky and forts hurling Nethicite missiles at you from the ground, and you're just trying to get to Mount fucking North Doom Crater to kill chaos, quote, with your MacGuffin. Throw in some super ship battles, a fun Mario Kart airship race, and maybe a diamond weapon or two for post-game. Cheers, PDR. Thanks for the consistent laughs, insight, and entertainment. Bro, you have just described my dream Need for Speed game. Like, that sounds like a blast.
It's ambitious. There's a lot of really huge genre shifts, so I don't know how I'd feel about it as a single game, but like a collection of games, maybe like a franchise. We even discussed pre-show the idea of like, if anyone remembers the old Dreamcast VMU or other things like that, where you could do this much more easily with modern technology. Maybe you have like a mobile game where you do like airship building or like sending out airships, and then the stuff you get from that, it gives things to your account that lets you get little bonuses in the main game, where you don't have to do it, but you can get little extra boosts if you are.
Yeah, a lot of what he described in the last bit reminds me of a game called it's based in the Warhammer 40k universe called Battlefleet Gothic. It's a miniature tabletop based game, but you can build out all these different little armadas that you can use to fight against other people. You know, so I mean, it'd be kind of like a large scale RTS in that aspect. I mean, yeah, that's some really crazy shit you could get going there. Some epic style battles going on there.
Yeah, and I really did like he made a really good point. Airship is like this really iconic part of the Final Fantasy games. It's a big deal when you get your airship. There's all sorts of different stuff, but like there's all this stuff about it where it's this really big thing in terms of like the narrative and the mythology. But in terms of the actual gameplay, it's a thing that moves you across the map faster. And maybe there's like a couple battles that are fought on it, but it's mostly just a fast transport. And so really expanding that, getting to delve into a lot of stuff, a lot of things that we imagine and dream about with that. It's like, okay, that's fun. I like that.
I would like to see a gummy ship style building in this too. like they have in
where you could actually pick and choose your parts, slide them around, actually build something in the baby version of CAD, and just slide all your parts together and make a ship.
Yep.
I mean, let me have a pre-made version, please.
Well, yeah,
I don't know that I want to delve into that right away.
Get a pre-made version.
But did you ever play Kingdom Hearts?
You get a pre-made version, and then you get the pre-made, then you get an open slot for a second ship to build, and then you just be like, well, I don't have a second blueprint, so I guess I'm going to start from scratch. And by the time you're done, your airship looks like garbage. It's all of your favorite parts stuck together, and it barely works. But it's fun, and you got to do it yourself.
And it ends up being really strong and blows shit up.
18 guns and one short motor and a cockpit behind all the guns. That's what I flew.
Exactly. Yep, the last entry we have is from our friend Shake, 7 Deadly Streamers. Hi guys, this is Shake. When I think of game genres, I immediately think of all the different games my kids play. Sports or racing, puzzles or platformers, fighting, even strategy games. But I can already think of a number of Final Fantasy spin-offs and mini-games that fit into these categories. So when I see my oldest daughter play Story of the Seasons last night, I immediately thought how cute a farm full of chocobos would be. Now, I know 14 is planning on introducing farming, and you can already get married, own a house, and even raise a chocobo, but I would love a Final Fantasy / Harvest Moon style game where you can raise a chocobo chick that could eventually grow up to win the big race at the local harvest festival one day. Games like Rune Factory and Stardew Valley have already mixed RPG and farming sim elements, so I would still like to see dungeons filled with familiar monsters and a blacksmith where you can eventually craft an ultimate weapon, aka Geralt. That poor guy is
Geralt.
I could go on and on.
There's lots of Final Fantasy blacksmiths you could draw from.
Yeah, but everybody knows he's talking about Geralt, that poor drunk bastard. I could go on and on. Like, what if your character is a Vier and you marry a Ronso? What would the babies look like? Or what?
Oh man, so many ERPers are ahead of you on that.
Or what could you build?
Different egg groups, they don't breed.
Or what if you could build your own airship? See the other one up there. Would the harvest sprites be Moogles? Upgrading your fishing rod enough to catch the dread grouper. And imagine all the mini games and festivals. Would the mayor of the town be named Sid?
Yes.
Okay, I'll stop now.
Yes.
I really enjoy listening to you guys ramble on about Final Fantasy. Keep up the great work. Your pal, Shake.
Oh, I
Thank you.
I started on Harvest Moon back on the SNES. It's always occupied a special place in my heart. Fun fact, one of the other loremongers actually works as a localizer for Xseed, and she was heavily involved in the localization of the new Story of Seasons game, Pioneers of Olive Town. She mentioned a couple slight little things she slipped in as fun references to other games, so always a fun thing there.
Big fishing.
Yes, she did in fact reference the big fishing exploding brain meme that went around for a while. Good times. But yeah, I
love those secrets.
Yeah, and like there's been a bit of a shift, I feel like, especially extremely recently, away from like hyper realistic, gritty type games and towards stuff that's a lot more cozy. I mean, I think part of it just a reaction to dealing with a gritty, really rough world, having gaming experiences that kind of accentuate these little positive things, these quiet tender moments. And this is something that I feel like kind of really fits into that trend.
Yeah.
So it's especially enticing to me.
Well, I mean, look at the popularity of Animal Crossing over the last few months. I just say, basically, you think of video gaming in the COVID era, and probably the number one game has been Animal Crossing.
Dude, Animal Crossing is my number one hope of having and paying off a mortgage.
Just watch out for when he decides to raise your rates. Damn you, Tom Nook.
Okay, yeah, but he's not charging interest on this. This is actually a fantastic deal.
Yeah, so it's totally not realistic.
Yeah, like the bad guy is less than most actual loan companies.
But yeah, I mean, this is something that we're going to be getting a little bit of in Final Fantasy XIV in the next expansion. But I think, a little light, Harvest Moon style game could be kind of fun and cute.
Give me something to feel happy about.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Again.
3 very good, very passionate entries from you guys. And I can't thank you enough for, sending those off to us. We really do appreciate it. We loved reading these things, and we had a pre-show meeting to discuss, who we thought, which ones we really liked, and what our thoughts on everything were. So,
yeah, like the fact that we got such different styles out of it, and like the way everyone talked about, it's like, okay, I could see this. There's that little bit of me that's like, how would this work from a design perspective? Can we really do this? Do we want to shift that? Like that was there, but there was also just this moment of just like thinking and dreaming about it that was really nice. I haven't had that kind of escape in a while. So thank you for that.
We actually got into some of we went more in depth with some of these to figure out how would this work. So
not even as just like we want to critique it, but this is an interesting idea. Let's explore that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So thank you for all of that, guys. Really do appreciate it. But we did end up picking a winner. Well, technically, you're all winners because everybody is going to win a prize off of this one. So thank you for your wonderful entries.
Also, you're all winners in that smarmy sense that they use on like award shows.
Yeah, but literally you're all winners as well because everyone's going to get at least $25.
But in another, more real sense, Barney Gumble is the winner. It's a Simpsons reference.
Yeah. I was trying to do a bad Barney burp, but I couldn't. Anyway, we all unanimously... I can talk. We all unanimously picked Rydarian's airship game idea because wow, not only did he get so in depth with the ideas of it, I agree, an airship game would be amazing. It would be so much fun to run around and build your own airship and then fly it and fight against other airship companies. So yeah, congratulations.
Like I said, airships have been this big iconic part. Like the airships have names. They're involved in all sorts of fun little sequences.
Yeah, but it
Like,
would be nice.
there's so
I
much.
came in and
Go ahead.
I saw it and went, this feels like a Need for Speed game. This feels like when you start with a shitty Miata and you start buying little parts to go as fast as you can, and eventually you have to upgrade. And then you have multiple cars, and then your older cars turn into cars for specific things. And you're like, well, I need a car that can drift. Well, your front wheel drive car can't do that. You need another car. The drifting engine is completely different than the open world engine, which is different than the drag racing engine. And you need different cars for all of them. They all need different setups, but your store works the same. Your customization works the same. Your paint jobs, your liveries, your sticker selections, your team name, it all works the same. You're just building towards different goals. And then you get to actually go out and achieve those goals in gameplay. And now I get to do that with an airship. And I go, okay, well, this one's Mako powered. This one has chocobos in wheels. This one has propellers. This one has an air bladder. This one doesn't. This one has a wind crystal powering it. This one doesn't. This one uses materia to augment nacelles. This one doesn't have
has
nacelles.
so many propellers.
I could see customizing the crap out of it.
Mhm.
This one has so many propellers. But from the car perspective, I go, well, this one's rotary, and this one's not, and this one's a V8, and this one's a turbocharged, and this one. So now I'm seeing that, but I get to translate all of it into airships and go, yes, I will happily build you multiple airships for supply runs, speed runs, exploring, long-term exploring, delving into certain regions. And then I get to argue with Seyrr or one of the Sky Pirates from 12. Or I get to talk with Sid or a different Sid. Or I find a floater, and then I have to find the desert where the original airship was. And then raise that airship. Is it good? Who knows? Maybe it's a legendary find. Maybe it's only good for one thing. Maybe you can't customize it. Are they pixel based? Are they 3D generated? There's so many things that I was like, I want to play the crap out of this. So congratulations. Your game sounds rad. I can't make it for you. You should make it for me so I can play it.
Also, I just want to note, FF9 had even more than I thought. It had 6 or 7. Okay, wait, no. Including airships that you don't ride on but are named ones that are important to the plot. There's 10 different airships here.
Yeah, I mean, and you ride on so many different styles of airships, because you go from, the first one that you ride through the gate to get to
like the cargo airship, the various Hildegards, the theater ship.
To the frickin' Invincible.
Yeah.
Good God, there's a lot of.
Or you look at,
Here's a special DLC piece where you have to build a theater ship, and then you build a theater ship and you get some crazy reward out of it.
And then you build a theater troop, and then you put on I Want to Be Your Canary.
I like to think the theater ship is like the mini quest you do to unlock the theater game.
Yeah, exactly. And then maybe you'll put on a Maria and Draco.
I was gonna say, is the theater game just gonna be Maria and Draco? Because I think it can be.
Suikoden 3.
Yeah, seriously. I don't know. Red Darian, you kicked ass, dude. Good job.
Yeah. Suikoden 3 had a mini game where you actually did find theater scripts around the world, and then you had cast various members of your army in roles for the plays. I put on a damn fine version of Romeo and Juliet once, and then a really messed up version of Romeo and Juliet. It was great.
So we will be reaching out to all of you to find out how you want to get your prizes, if you want them in a certain gift card, or if you want them in, if you want stuff from the Mog Station or whatever, just let us know. But like I said, Shake and Tibiant, you're also going to be winning $25. So congratulations. We really enjoyed your entries. So thank you so much. But with that, I mean, that doesn't mean that we're, we don't want to still hear more ideas from you guys. We're just not going to pay you for them at this point. We would really enjoy if anybody else has other thoughts now that they've heard some of these ideas. What else would you want to see for a Final Fantasy game, in what genre? So Make sure
Heck, come on the Discord server and discuss it with us. I
Absolutely.
need instruction from work.
Yep, let me link the Discord server here. Or you can email us again, podcast@FFXIV.com, or you on Twitter at PHXDNRadio. All those locations are going to be great. We were going to be talking more about the Final Fantasy 14-hour live stream, but we're going to put that one off until next episode because we've spent 2 hours and 10 minutes talking about news and contests. Because
at this rate, we'd have our own 14-hour broadcast.
Exactly. The one thing that I am going to link, though, I want to get this out there so everybody's aware of it. I want to link the benchmark trailer to start with. Because the benchmark is being released tomorrow for Endwalker. And the other thing we want to see from you guys, we want to see your bunny boys. You know they're gonna do it, Seyrr. Come on.
I am aware.
I want to see your creations in the character creator of the benchmark. Also, share your scores. I'm interested to see what your scores you're gonna get. I really want to see what this rig is going to give me for a score.
My free company leader downloaded the trailer in 1440p, and he's been watching it at 1/8 speed over and over just to try to pull out every detail he can see from it.
I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff showing in there. The one, I guess my only disappointment that I saw about this was I was not a fan of the Red Mage AF for this. They bastardized the hat. That's my gripe coming out of this.
The artifact armor looks weird for everything.
Some of it looks really good, though.
Warriors look weird. The Red Mage looks weird.
I like the Warrior one, though. That I think that was a nicely done homage to the original Warrior getup.
It's the 5th iteration of artifact gear. Like they if you're going to have it be a carbon copy each time, you have to start exploring some different ground.
No, I get it. It's just that hat is hideous. It's not nice. No. I refuse to accept it.
Klauss is anti-hat.
No, I love hats. It's just got to be the pimp hat. It's got to be the pimp hat.
Yeah.
You have to admit, I think the best looking Red Mage hat came from Final Fantasy XI.
That I will give you.
That hat broke so many Link shells.
Yeah, and it not just the Duelist hat either, because that was the one that you got through doing all the Dynamis. Even the original AF one was pretty freaking pimp.
Yeah, the one I'm thinking about was the Relic one from Dynamis Sarkabar, which was that much harder to run than the others.
I never
got the drop rates.
Or did I end up finally getting that one? No, I don't think I did. I got some Duelist pieces, but I never got that
People
one.
got plenty of them, but the hat was always a sticking point.
Yeah.
That and Assassin's Armlets broke up so many groups.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why I chose it for on my tattoo here. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, Treasure Hunter +1 destroyed so many people.
All right. Well, like I said, we had it's been an additional 2 weeks since what we normally have between shows, but I had fun with this one. This was good.
Oh.
But I think that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode, guys. If you like what you heard, please make sure to like, subscribe, or follow us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or whatever your preferred podcatcher is. And if possible, leave us a rating or review. It helps us to know how we're doing, and it helps other people find our show. If you really dig the show, you can consider subscribing here at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio, where you'll get access to a number of subscriber-only emotes and badges. And also, you can go out to our Patreon page at patreon.com/PhoenixDownRadio and support us like our benevolent overlord, Aurora Fenrir. All proceeds that we get go towards growing the show. It covers things like hosting costs, contests, and just allows us to do a lot of fun things and improve technology. Good stuff. So yeah, we want to give back to you guys because to show you that we really appreciate all the support that you give to us.
You keep listening to us, and we don't understand why, but we're grateful.
Well, no, people can't turn away from a train wreck, Seyrr. You know this.
It's so glorious. You know that there's going to be so many deaths. There might be body parts, but you have to watch.
Okay,
Shout-outs,
that turned really
Seyrr.
dark.
Yeah, I don't even know where that came from, man.
No, almost,
I'm like, bruh.
almost shout outs. If you want to check out the backlog of all of Seyrr's really dark rants, you can go to our website, phoenixstormradio.com.
Hey, that wasn't a rant, that was a reverie. Important difference.
But it was still dark.
Well, yes.
If
Can't argue with that.
if you want to contact us for some reason, maybe find out, is Seyrr okay? You can email us, podcast@phoenixstormradio.com. or it's much faster if you tweet at PHXDNRadio. Seyrr, are you okay?
Hashtag Seyrr, are you okay is the keyword.
And that's gonna
the
start
next giveaway.
Let's get that trending on Twitter. Hashtag Seyrr, are you okay?
Oh my gosh, I do not need to explain to my friends why I'm trending on mental health things.
Hey, let's make Seyrr's mental health trend. We love you, Seyrr.
We love you, buddy. We're gonna send you into darkness even harder.
Excellent question mark.
Now, shout outs.
Oh, I'll start. First off, I'll shout out these two fuckers because what the hell? Thanks for. I did not realize how much I'd missed this. This was nice.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to a batch of friends with whom from the Hanabi server. Hanabi is a really cool game about making fireworks shows. It's awesome, and I recommend it. But so shout out to Mark, Ariana, Jules, and Jason. Really love to chat with you. Really love that you live nearby so we can hang out in person. I'm actually going out for boba with them tomorrow, which I am looking forward to.
Nice. We actually the Chinese restaurant here finally got boba tea. It's granted it's just the powdered stuff, but it still tastes really good.
Yeah.
I mean,
start somewhere.
Exactly. I mean, I've had really good boba tea, like from other boba shops, like at the Mall of America and stuff like that. But the fact that I don't have to drive, almost an hour and a half to get it, I'll take it.
The squishy texture is just fun.
Oh God, yeah. Sorry. Anyway, you were saying.
Anyways, yes. So shout out to them. And yeah, you can find me on social media at FF14 Seyrr. That's FFXIV SEYRR. Random mix of stuff that I tweet. So no particular rhyme or reason to it, which of course you are definitely not at all used to when dealing with me.
All right, Taliz, you're up, buddy.
That one was sarcasm.
Oh my God.
What sarcasm?
Shout outs to Pyrocats for what the sarcasm 7. Shout outs to Pyrocats for being an awesome person who has helped me out this week when I have been on the verge of death. My apologies to our podcast listeners who have been listening to my voice that sounds like I swallowed broken glass a few days ago. I've been coughing for a while. I'm good-ish. So thank you, Pyrocats, for helping me nurse my stupid ass back to health. Shout-outs to friend Juji Tunes on TikTok. She is a hilarious high schooler who's from Seattle, but her parents work at a Japanese company, so she gets to spend like 2 or 3 years at a time in Japan. So she spent half of her childhood in Japan and half of it in Western Washington. And she taught me my new favorite Japanese idiom, which is Mimi no tako ga dekiru, which means my ears are becoming calloused. It is in reference to things that are just awful to listen to that you don't want to listen to anymore. So, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Mimi ni tako ga dekiru. You can find me ranting about video games, food, and cars on Instagram or TikTok at Marvelous Tofu. I have green hair. It's not hard to spot me.
That's true. I can vouch. And I, of course, want to shout out these two knuckleheads. It's been great getting back with you guys again after 2 weeks off and jumping back into this. This has been very therapeutic.
Yes.
Definitely needed this. Like I said, I did miss this when I was up on vacation. But needed that even more. Shout out to my family who let me hang out with them at the lake cabin last week. That was an amazing time. Like I said, first, somebody who is so attached to technology to basically have to give it up for a week, it was very cathartic, and I felt amazing afterwards. So, except for
you
all
don't really recognize how much it grinds at you.
No, it does. I mean, just the fact that I didn't have it hanging over me, I was a little worried about things happening at work because of stuff that happened before I left. But like I said, I soon forgot about that and got into the relaxation. But I have to say, fuck all those mosquitoes that were out there, because goddamn, a lot of mosquitoes by a lake.
Yeah.
And shout out to the guys who entered our contest, Shake and I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names, Tibient and Rydarian. Thank you so much for submitting your entries. Like I said, I really smiled when I saw you guys send in your entries and read through them, and then passing them on to Taliz and Seyrr and getting their reactions to them.
Yeah, we had a great chat just before the show from that, so that in and of itself was worth it.
Exactly, you know,
it's true.
So we want to keep doing that. So, you know, when you guys we come up with something else, we want to hear what you guys' entries are on those too. So make sure to keep on following us so you can get the newest notifications on all of that stuff. So thank you so much for everybody who's watching and listening right now. If you want to follow me out on social media, I am at PHXDN_KLAUSS, where I have not posted a lot because, well, like I said, I was in an area where I couldn't post for a while, and then trying to catch up with all of that other crap that happened at work when I got back. Yeah, kind of busy. So anyway, that for my co-hosts, Seyrr Timono, for Taliz Marvelous, I am Klauss Nightbringer, and wishing everybody a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you next one. Take care.
Phoenix Down Radio is a production of PhoenixDownRadio.com and Illusion Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. In-game content for Phoenix Down Radio is the copyright of Square Enix. Opening music for Phoenix Down Radio is provided by Guilty Gear Rock You. Check out the Metal Chocobo theme cover and many other music videos at youtube.com/Guilty Gear Rock You. Closing music for this episode is provided by Guitar Wanker 90. Please check out their full version of Matoya's Cave and other rock video game covers at youtube.com/Guitar Wanker 90. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of Phoenix Down Radio and its hosts and do not reflect the views of Square Enix.